Today on the main attraction, we're going to be taking a look at these circuit breakers and how they work for DCC power management. Coming up. Hi, I'm Mike with the main attraction, where our focus is what is on our tracks, namely our trains. We're here to learn as much as we can about model railroading and have fun in the process. I'm building my first model railroad, and I invite you to come along for the journey. Just hit the little subscribe button down there, and then hit the little bell icon right next to it, and you'll be notified every time I put up a new video. In my previous video, I soldered all these wires onto this little circuit board to get ready to solder the wiring terminals onto this circuit breaker. I've never been a real good solderer, and so I wanted to practice before I did this so I wouldn't ruin this board. I'll put up a little close-up picture, but you can see I did a pretty good job, and in fact, the time I've been working on my railroad, this is one of the things I'm most proud of for doing, because my soldering was really not up to par. And I feel like I did a good job on this, and so it makes me really excited to keep moving on. And so I'm really excited because today we're going to take this little circuit breaker over to my test station and hook it up and run it through its paces. So I'll see you over there. Well, we're over here at my little test station, and I'm using a DigiTrack system. I had bought this DigiTrack's PM42, which is supposed to break the system into 4 power districts. And so that's hooked up right now, and I'm just going to show you what happens with that. So I have 2 districts active. One helps me to run a locomotive, like that, and the other one helps me to power my turnout motors. And there you can see in the insert the circuit motor switching. And so that works great when it's running. But if you look on the circuit board right over here, there's 4 LEDs, 1 for each power district. And when I short the track, all 4 power districts turn red. Obviously that's some kind of a problem. I don't know if I've wired it incorrectly, but I don't think so from everything I've been able to read and find. Otherwise, the board just doesn't work. And I've tried 2 or 3 different track configurations, or wiring configurations, I should say, to use different circuits here, and none of them seem to make any difference. Whichever ones I work, it still shorts out the entire board. So that isn't going to do what I need it to do. Okay, I've gone ahead and switched out the PM42 for a couple of these PSX1s. If you saw the previous episode, you'll remember that I bought one big PSX4, which has 4 of these PSX1s. I broke them apart and put all the terminals on them. I have 2 of them out here now. One is set for the track and one is set for the turnout motor underneath. And so we'll give that a try. Now I did go through all 4 of them, and I had to put a jumper in here because I'm running a DigiTrack system, and I had to do a little bit of setup with them. And then I was playing around and discovered that if I short the track, which you'll see in a minute, if I short the track for more than 3 seconds, then it went back to the booster. And so on this one, which is going to the track, I went ahead and put a reset cable in with a little push button, and that will manually reset that. If I left it on automatic after 3 seconds, turned the circuit breaker in the booster off so that it wouldn't do anything. And so we'll start this test by just showing you that I can run the locomotive. There it goes. I can reverse it, of course. Works normally off my throttle. Just going to have it creeping so you can see it. If I short the track, the engine stops. And I did hook up the buzzer on this one, and you can also see the little LED light that lights here when the short happens. And because it's not on automatic reset, I have to push the button to reset it. And then the locomotive starts. Now I want to show you this. Short the track, and then I can push the button and the turnout motor still works. So hallelujah, that's what I was going for. I'm not sure if I want that buzzer on. It's kind of annoying, but it's going to be under the layout, and I think it might make it a little easier to know that there actually is a short if I hear it, instead of having to run back underneath there to look all the time if there's a light lit, if this LED light is lit, which right now you can see is not on. If I short the track, It comes on and the buzzer comes on. One other thing I wanted to check while I had all this hooked up is that the manual for this PSX4 says that you should offset your gaps, your insulated gaps between power districts by 3/4 of an inch. I've gone ahead and just set it up here. I replaced these two track connectors with insulated joiners right here. They're next to each other, so I wanted to see what would happen. So first we'll just run the engine through, and as you can see, it runs through just fine. Back it up. No problem. Now I'm going to short the back track out. So that's now shorted and has no power to it because the circuit breaker back here is shut off. I took the buzzer off so we wouldn't have to listen to that during this test. Now I'm going to run the locomotive through. And once it hits that track, it stops, which is what you would expect it to do. Now I'll reset this, and away it goes. So I'm going to see if I can get a 3/4 inch piece of track in there and offset them and see if it makes any difference. And so we'll be back in a few minutes for that. Okay, I put a piece of this 3/4 inch straight Atlas track right here, and I offset the insulators on either side of that. And so let's see how it's going to run now. Here comes the locomotive. Track's kind of bumpy there, but it made it through with no problems. Go back the other way. Just fine. I'm going to short this other track out. Here comes the locomotive again, and it gets about the same place just across the second gap, and it stops. So if I reach in here and reset that back district, away goes the engine. Coming back the other way, works just fine. So personally, I don't really see a difference in whether that gap is offset or not. Any of you have an idea? Maybe you could put it in the comments down below and help us all learn. That was a great test, and I'm happy how things turned out. So now I'm ready to start wiring the part of my layout that I have done and see if I can get some trains running on it. So these DCC Specialties PSX-X boards, they're numbers 1 through 4 depending how many you get on a board. I got a 4 and then I broke it up into individual pieces. I'm working on a Digitrax system, and so I have to have this little jumper in here, and there's one other jumper that I have to mess with for setup, but once that happened, everything worked pretty good. I did notice that if I had the short for more than 3 seconds, the whole booster shorted out, and so by putting on the other two jumpers right here, I can put a push button, and when I push that, then that resets this, and it lets the short go for longer than 3 seconds, which is, in my opinion, not even long enough to find out where the thing is, and I don't want the whole layout shutting down for that. I'll just be putting those push buttons in and be able to access that underneath if I need it. So do you have any experience with either the PSX board or the Digitrax DM42, which I couldn't get to work? If you do, I'd love to hear about it in the comments down below. Give this video a thumbs up. If you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to our channel, then hit the little bell icon right next to it, and you'll get notified every time I put up a new video. Till next time, this is Mike with the Main Attraction, and we'll see you soon.